Welcome back, Detective Castellanos, Detective. My name is Couch Coop, and we're going to have a look at 2014's The Evil Within 1. Interesting, this is from Tango, procured by Microsoft about 2 years ago, promptly shut down. Hi-Fi Rush was their most recent game on PC and PS5. I will link to both of those reviews. It's an incredible piece of work. Aren't you going to do that thing where you punch up to some bigger creator for a cheap laugh? Okay, hold on. Andy Pants. Oh, good old Andy. Everyone loves Andy on X. Very popular. Put a little post out the other day complaining. Still funny when some people call me a grifter. Grammar's fantastic, and this post really does highlight some of the false accusations that Andy has to put up with. Let's just have a look at his holy crap. Sweet Jesus. We are lucky, I suppose, to have found each other. I could be sitting here today trying to work out how I'm going to get the words gay and retarded into one thumbnail. I like to concentrate on the video game. If you put the word review in your title, you might as well just throw that damn thing away. But it matters not. I find celebrating these older games far more important. And talking of celebration, this is the second time I've looked at this. It was PS5. First time round, and you didn't get any support. Minor backwards boosts. PC's looking smooth AF, and we do have some crisper shadows, slightly more detail on some of the effects. I kept that film grain on, even though it is quite heavy, but it's these shadows, the realism. Teleport yourselves back to 2014, and imagine looking at this on 7th gen.
God, Conway.
I was gathering the Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey footage whilst playing this in the background. I sometimes have up to 4 or 5 games on rotation. The camera angle and aspect ratio did appear jarring at first, but you immediately slip back into it. And referring to that film grain issue, I didn't alter any of the controls either. I find that massively interesting, how inputs have evolved over the years, particularly in survival games. The Evil Within has a shoulder button, toggle on or off, crouch, and your run is over on L1. On the other side of the pad, it does feel a bit alien. You're not clicking in sticks. That refers to the lamp, which can result in some hilarity. My lamp is normally always on during stealthing, and this doesn't thankfully alert the enemies, but you can imagine them just looking on and thinking he's over there behind that bush because he's left his torch on again. I think it's important in first instance to try and play these games as the designers and developers intended. If it was good enough for Shinji, then it's good enough for me. This game is not without issue on PC, however. It's 9 out of 10 on Steam. IGN gave it 8.7. Jesus, IGN. When are you going to just disappear? Have you ever had someone swing round to you, ever, in your life, and go, you know that IGN review the other day, did you see it? I read it. They just nailed it. Have you ever heard anyone say that? How are they even a thing still? It baffles me. More than the Andy Pants situation. Some of the problems stem from its VSync and issues with the top of the screen having some tear or flicker. Luckily, none of it affects that campaign. And one of the things that drove me to put this video together was how strong those 3 DLCs are, which come inclusive of the Game Pass version of The Evil Within 1. Super important there because they're massive, and we're going to have a look at them. But let's just indulge in base game first, a will timestamp. My God, this is great to get back into. It's so addictive on its front end with how it introduces everything. The lore, the environment, little semi-open world areas. Shinji was one of the original designers on Resident Evil, and you could just feel the DNA everywhere. The boss fights, the cat and mouse stuff, the trapping. It's so satisfying. It plays around with depth of field quite confidently. When you aim down sights, it blurs out stuff in the background, it helps with the focus. DOF kind of annoys me in a lot of modern games, and I will remove it if it's getting in the way, but with this, it just adds to everything. The enemy models themselves are just great and expertly animated. It also features, as a sort of main addition, is the wounding setup and being able to drop stuff by hitting the legs. Enemies will let go of certain weapons, cause fires. We'll get to the fire in a second because it's an integral part of clearing out a level correctly. Sticking on that character model, detail and animation, and this boss had never looked so fearsome. There's a huge ring-like vibe with her. She's got like 8 legs, terrifying stuff, and what an introduction.
Shit, I'd better run!
He is up there with one of the top horror games on 8th gen. The second one, which I have put on the channel, is also more of the same, but with cooler additions, some slight ease of life and some better visuals, slightly updated engine. That is suffering badly from some PC port issues, which I swear are new, because on the original review a year ago, they weren't giving me any problems. Basically, the VSync is just not working whatsoever. You have to go to a G-Sync issue, launch it through an app. I can't get anywhere with it. I want to talk about the game's interesting angle with psychological treatment. It's that horrifying electric shock era that we saw in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but far more terrifying in the remake of that Wizard of Oz, Return to Oz. That one has got some embedded trauma. I will take comments, but just about everything in the game's build reflects that genre. All of the hospitals, the wheelchairs, there's water everywhere. This guy's invisible footsteps, absolutely sublime game design, and shows real confidence in that engine and how to utilize it within a campaign. There's more than one nod to the film The Cell as well, I think. That features in the second one with a lot of the material, flowing curtains, if you've seen the film, the dream sequences. But I think what I'm getting to is this is like a pick and mix of awesome horror references put together by the designer of Resident Evil. You don't really get a better recipe for success than that. This is why a lot of people are devastated to see the closure of Tango and the kosh on an Evil Within 3. A 9th gen Evil Within 3, please.
It's much more elaborate.
The companion sections are also extremely well done. If you haven't played this game much, then you wouldn't have seen some of the cool mid to late combinations of people that you're working with. They will shoot stuff down when it's attacking you, and you have to replenish, give them health. It will be a lot of protective or guarding sections to this area. So it was really welcome, not just worrying about yourself. Here's a great example of having to prioritize a limb because I'm genuinely low on bullets. That guy's got an explosive stick, and it was the only way to make sure that situation was dealt with. Brilliant stuff. Limb shots were and still are a bit of a novelty, you know, like something funny that happens. Mein Leben! And in Resident Evil, the stamina bar is just not a thing. With the Evil Within series, it's integral. Like, if you don't have enough, it's over. They will catch you up. Combined with that lighting of the corpses to make sure they permanently disappear, and you've got yourself a very interesting video game. What are you playing, or what have you played recently that's on a par with the Evil Within? Ask that again. Ask me that again. What is out there now that's as good as this?
Out of ammo?
In all seriousness, maybe that Dead Space remaster, maybe that Resident Evil remake, but that's part of Shinji's back catalogue anyway. Alright mate, The Evil Within is great, we get it. Didn't you mention something about this DLC earlier? I did, and thank you, 10-minute mark, sorry about that. And I'm going to be coming back with Evil Within 2 over on the PS5. That's a format I haven't reviewed it on and that currently works against the debacle on PC, if you haven't unsubscribed already. The DLC is called the Fighting Chance Pack, and it comes with 3 sections: the assignment, the consequence, and the executioner. If there was ever a case made for a remake of this game, I think this intro is it. Imagine this in Unreal 5. Japanese devs just know, don't they? Jesus. So in the assignment, you're playing as Juli Kidman, which is very cool. Already, I'm thinking, wow, we've stepped out of the protagonist story and into something completely new, which is amazing. I don't actually know how much this DLC cost off the peg at the time, but to have it wrapped up in just the Game Pass version of it, to say that is bang for your buck is an understatement. I get Control vibes, well, Alan Wake vibes to be precise. You only get a torch at the start of this particular piece of DLC, the same for the second one. Everyone's faces are blurred out, you get a look at some of the corporatism around the story itself. And I am well aware I've got to tiptoe on this one. There are big story spoilers and reveals in a lot of the DLC. Don't go near any of it till you've done that campaign. As I've just spent the last 10 minutes previously saying, that is an extremely enjoyable experience. I swear this engine's had a touch up between the DLC and main game as well. That is completely imaginary.
If Jimenez activates the system, you'll be pulled in. Hopefully he doesn't. But as a precaution, we've prepared an infusion to...
My point being, with showing you some of this footage, is that it does not feel like Attack On at all. And Shinji's games and the DLC, used to work with Capcom quite a lot, obviously, have always had quite strong additional content attached. I really want to now look at the Evil Within 2's extra material. Please don't tell me there isn't any. So as mentioned, the assignment and the consequence, you both have Jill as the character, Judy. You also get given an actual allocated cover mechanic and a holoban. You can shout out, you can distract them. You can throw bottles as well. This is not too dissimilar to the Last of Us model. Quite a big change from hussing huge electrified harpoons at walking zombies. There is also a full-blown detection meter put in for the zomboids themselves. Now this is in the Evil Within 2. This has sprinkles of the sequel in its DLC, so that's amazing to be able to get a glimpse of how that game actually works. And it is really tense. It is quite frightening. You do feel very vulnerable. It is a totally different angle to base game. But as you know, I'm kind of like craving a little bit more, so the consequence and the assignment are exactly what you see. But that is some people's bag. Complete stealth. There is some progression to be had until that dynamic changes. You do get glow sticks though. Then along came the Executioner piece of DLC. My god. And as it says on the tin, you do play as Safehead, and you have backstory about his daughter and the kidnapping and his old motivation for being a lunatic. The addition of a first-person view, I shit you not, and look at the size of the hammer. You've got rock in there in the bottom left. Wow, you go back into the mansion, you have a ping system. This blew my mind. I am quite surprised more of a fuss wasn't made about this. These DLC sections were released in May of 2015. What a fantastic idea, going completely from a different angle, both with perspective and with story and with character. Destructible vases confirmed. Then I'm like, it's going to make me sneak around and watch stuff, not actually get involved in anything. No, I threw a freaking chair at a tripwire. It was near on stand up and applause moment. To say those things are annoying in the campaign is, again, the second understatement of the video. Then I thought, there's no way there's going to be any fighting with that hammer. That will be rusted by the time it starts a swinging. Oh, how wrong I was. Yes, there is also an allocated finisher move, and you can also throw the guys around like they're rag dolls. This is the best piece of DLC I've played in years. Your run button acts as a little side dodge. You feel surprisingly sprightly as you're avoiding bosses' chainsaw swings and getting out of the way of stuff lunging for you. What a triumph this format is for the Evil Within game. I do need to reel it in a little bit though, there is some spoilers on it, and I would just recommend whipping this up immediately because you may not have touched those 3 sections of game, and they are absolute time capsules. As I say, it's a brilliant series and excellent DLC additions. What have you got coming up, Coop? I have another massive When Ubisoft Was Good. Should be dropping early in the week, and of course I will see you and Andy Pandy down there.